Hey everybody, TJ Mack of Vintage Cards and Nostalgia here. And I've talked a little bit about how I take daily walks and its importance to me on many levels. Of course, it's good exercise and helps me manage my weight, so there is the physical benefit. It also helps me clear my mind after what can be sometimes a stressful work day. So it also helps with my mental health. But what I enjoy most about my walks is that it gives me time to reflect, a chance to step away for a little while from the hustle and bustle of life and to reflect, to think about my family, my faith, my career, and yes, my collecting as well. I use part of that time to drift off into thoughts of cards that I have in my collection and how I would like to display them. I come up with ideas for future videos and jot them down in the notebook on my iPhone. I think about cards I'd like to acquire and how they fit or often don't fit into my collection. Yes, the latter comes into play because there are so many cards that I don't end up buying because I know they'll be just a fad in my collection and will end up taking up space. That is what I ponder over when I decide what I want to acquire. I imagine, like most of you, my mind is busy with so many cards that I like, but in the end, only a few will ultimately end up in my collection. Now, most of us have heard the phrase, know thyself. Who first said it is not known for sure, but it's most attributed to the Greek philosopher Socrates. It's a simple and straightforward phrase that is very rich, though, in meaning. Knowing ourselves requires the self-examination of our personalities as we observe our strengths and our weaknesses. And let's take a moment now to apply that to our collecting. Do you know yourself as a collector? Do you know your limits, your motivations, where your passion lies? For me, I'm over 3 years on this YouTube journey, and I've seen how my collecting has changed from where I was before I started on YouTube to where I am now. Before YouTube, I collected alone, and few people ever even saw my collection. My main focus was acquiring all the key cards from the 50s into the 80s, the Hall of Famers and the superstars. And I spent 20 years doing this, and I really enjoyed it. But the interaction on YouTube has given me the opportunity to truly know myself as a collector. I'm a student of sports history, of art, of human nature. I also enjoy imparting onto others what I've learned. When I wasn't part of a collecting community, those things I enjoyed didn't have a chance to flourish. Now my collecting focus has transformed beyond just the biggest and best players to one that is more reflective of my collecting personality. I'm in a very good place with my collecting. There are still many cards I have yet to show on my channel, and that'll happen over time when I feel inspired to do so. That is what excites me about putting videos together, taking my love of history, storytelling, and art, and sharing my collection in a way that is unique to me as a collector. This week, I want to show 3 recent pickups I'm excited to share. In keeping with my 2024 goals, I've added 2 more Leaf cards, including my first 48-49 Leaf baseball card with this beautiful Bob Elliott rookie. Now I'm going to do a shout out here to Dan's Vintage PC. A while back, he did a show on his channel on the 1948 Boston Braves in honor of his Uncle Ralph. Now I'm going to put a link to that video down below. Dan, I think of you in that episode when I look at this Bob Elliott card. I selected it as my first Leaf baseball card for a couple of reasons. The first is that Elliott was just a fantastic player. Did you know in the decade of the 1940s, no one drove in as many RBIs as Bob Elliott's 939? Rogers Hornsby said this of Elliott: he made the 1948 Braves. He's the old-time type who hits and plays his best in the clutch. Now, Elliott played from 1939 to 1954 with the Pirates, the Braves, the Giants, the Browns, and the White Sox. He won the National League MVP with the Braves in 1947, with a .313 average, 27 home runs, and 113 RBIs. He was given the nickname Mr. Team by his teammates for his offensive prowess and clutch play. Elliott had 5 career 100 RBI seasons, which tied him for the most of any third baseman up to that time, along with Hall of Famer Pie Traynor. Now, Elliott will likely never be in the Hall of Fame, but he's the type of player that I love having in my collection and is just a perfect first leaf baseball card to add. The other reason I wanted this card is that it's visually striking. What is interesting about this issue are the different shades and in some instances colors on many of the card's backgrounds. This Elliott has different shades of blue with a lighter version. Then you have this one that is a darker, rich blue, and then there's a deep, deep blue. And I chose this one partly because of opportunity, but I also like the rich color. It wasn't too dark to where it blended in with his baseball cap, and I just prefer a little bit darker blue over the lighter one. Now, to give you an idea of the price, this was about a $58 card with shipping and tax. There's a view of the back of the card, and you can see this is a copyright 1949. And I know there's some discussion over if these cards are 48 or 49. I just call them 48/49. They were clearly issued after the 1948 baseball season, just based on how some of the stats are shown on the back of the card. They were from the 48 season, not the 47 season. Now, I mulled over this purchase for several days before making an offer to the seller on eBay. Where this card fits in my collection at this time is with my other Boston Braves cards of Warren Spahn and Johnny Sane, and also this 1952 Boston Braves program from my wife's uncle's program collection. And when he passed away, he didn't have any children, and he had given our family some of the programs that he had from when he was a kid. And he attended this game between the Boston Braves and St. Louis Cardinals in 1952, and here's the program from it. Now, I do plan to acquire some more 48, 49 leaf cards in the future, but I'm just going to take my time and acquire them as they come up and spark my interest. The other leaf card I added is this 1948 first card of Hall of Fame Eagles wide receiver Pete Pihos. Now, similar to the Elliott, it has this beautiful, rich blue background. And then you have this great black and white photo with the color accents. And then here's Pihos with his arms outstretched as he brings in the football. Now, this is just a classic card of the man known as the Golden Greek. He was maybe the best wide receiver of his era. In today's NFL, he would have been a tight end, as he was an excellent blocker with outstanding hands, but he didn't have great speed. In his day, though, the tight end as we know it did not exist. Now, Pihos is only one of 12 receivers in NFL history who have won the receiving triple crown, which is leading the league in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. He did it in 1953 with 63 catches, 1,049 yards, and 10 touchdowns in just a 12-game season. No player other than Don Hutson, who won the Triple Crown 5 times, has won it more than once. Now, Pihos is a World War II veteran who served in both Normandy and the Battle of the Bulge. He was a 7-time All-Pro who led the league in receptions from 1953 to 1955, before retiring while still on top at the age of 32. Now, he was very unhappy with the Eagles' losing record, and he was also influenced, it was said, by Joe DiMaggio, who told him, "Pete, when you retire, make sure you're on top. Things will be better for you. Don't retire as a has-been." Now, look at these 3 beautiful 48, and in the case of Waterfield, 49 leaf football cards together. You got the blue and the red and the yellow backgrounds. I'm just falling more and more in love with these cards and have slowly been acquiring some. I have another one that I'm going to show in a future video. And I plan on doing some more things with magazines from this era, in conjunction with the Bowman and Leaf cards that are in my collection. But that'll be in future videos. Here's what the back of the Pihos card looks like. Last card I want to share today is another Eagles card, and this is the 1951 Bowman of defensive end John Green. Now this is his only card. As you can see, the striking image is what really drew me into this card. You have the beautiful shades of green in the background, what I believe to be Shibe Park, where the Eagles played their home games at that time. Now the background shows benches tilted as to give the impression of size and distance. Here you see Green clad in his white home jersey. He's leaping up in the air and looks as if he's reaching for that eagle, which was creatively placed just above his outstretched arm. Now Green played from 1947 to 1951 and made one Pro Bowl. There really isn't much I can find on him, but I'm going to show you something on the back of his card that I found very interesting. My friend Chris from Stories and Cardboard pointed out something to me on the back, and I just want to share it with you. As you can see here, it says he joined the Eagles in 1946, then was sent to Bethlehem in minor league for seasoning. Came back in 1947 and won a job right away. Light in weight, but rugged and wiry, clever, alert, called the greatest defensive end in pro football. And that's what I found very interesting when Chris shared that. The greatest defensive end in pro football. I've never read anywhere else where that was said other than on the back of this card. He's good at blocking kicks. He plays offensive and defensive end at the University of Tulsa and Missouri Valley Conference. And he was a salesman during the off-season. I guess we're just going to have to take Bowman's word for it as regarding his standing within the league as a defensive end. Now, these three cards are all wonderful additions to my collection and are in keeping with my collecting goals in 2024. I continue to find joy in discovering more about my collecting self, and I strive to have the cards I show to be a reflection of that. Now I'm grateful that I can share my collecting journey with you each week. Your time is valuable, and it means a lot that you take a moment to watch. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll talk again soon.